Hey, this is a repeat interview for us.
Second timer.
Someone actually came back. Usually we say, hey, you want to come back? And then we get no response.
And an in-person interview.
Yeah, which is
He
always
came out.
great.
We're excited. He came out to our studio.
He came out
to
the studio.
Yes.
And that joke is because he is a gay man. And
He's
this is
Dave
Dave
Rubin.
Rubin. Hi, Dave. Well, he's not here yet.
He's not here yet.
But hi, Dave.
He wrote this book called Don't Burn This Book.
And me and Ethan have always been a little more rebellious.
I don't know. I mean, it says don't. But what happens if you do?
Is that like a safety warning? Like if you do? Oh, it's actually like catching fire.
We're getting it. We're still reading it, right? It's going to be readable.
It's going to be, we just want to like torch the edges.
Yeah, which is a creme brulee.
For anybody on audio,
Yeah, we just want like a nice little toasting, like a toasted marshmallow.
We're currently burning.
I feel like I'm going to burn your fingers.
I know. It's actually very hot.
Whoa.
Okay.
Don't burn the book. Man, we are so rebels.
It actually doesn't burn very well.
I'm just going to leave it on. All right, well, we're going to talk to Dave Rubin about his book. Don't burn the. Actually, we didn't talk about the book much. We talked about Ben Shapiro fighting weasels.
This actually looks a lot cooler. Like it looks like it's the design of the book to look like
It smells pretty good. I love the smell of burning.
Me too. Maybe we should join Antifa. We talked to Dave Rubin about a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah.
And
we did. It was fun. It was really
a great
fun
interview. And you could we don't have to tell you about it because it's coming up, but Dave Rubin, if you know Dave Rubin, if you don't know Dave Rubin, he's more famous than we are. And he does
We should get to the interview before the smoke alarm goes off.
Yeah, okay. Hi, Dave. Hi, Dave.
Hello there.
Oh, hi.
How are you?
Wow.
Good to be with you guys. This is a little unnerving. Both of you have computers in front of you, obviously. Lots of information.
That's what I wanted to ask, because you're a professional interviewer.
Yes.
And I don't know how to interview somebody without notes in front of me, but then it is weird when I have the laptop and they don't.
I don't know. You could both be looking at porn. I don't know what you two are doing. All I've got are my sunglasses. My guy took my phone. I have nothing right
You
now.
want one?
A computer?
Yeah.
No.
Do you want?
No. It's nice. It's nice to be.
That's why I try to lean away from the screen and look at you.
I see.
But Kyle doesn't at all. Kyle does this the whole time.
Well,
That was impressive.
I'm writing
the way
articles.
you did the lean there. It seemed very, I'm interested in what you're saying,
Okay.
sort of thing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Neither of us ever envisioned ourselves being interviewers.
Yeah, we just write jokes.
Together, we're each half of an interviewer, but not even
Not even that.
not even that.
Doesn't it feel like everybody has to be an interviewer at this
No.
point? Do you know anyone that doesn't have a podcast? Pretty much there are more podcasts than people at this point. Like everyone has 3 podcasts. Nobody's listening to any of these things anymore. It's enough already.
Yeah,
You
it's
know?
true. Except for this
Get
one,
out there.
which
Live a life.
We got in before it was cool. No, actually,
yeah, we were way after the curve.
yeah, we were way after.
We were like 5 years after.
I'm still amazed that people listen to it. I'm every day that the numbers are rising. I'm like, wow, how are we doing this?
If you build it, they will come. If you're doing something original, that really is the truth. Like people will come around. But I'm amazed every time I see. Even this week, I saw someone fairly popular launched a podcast. Not even going to say who it was, but somebody that we all know in this world launched a podcast, and I was like, oh, because yes, we needed more podcasts.
Well, I saw the Office ladies launched a podcast a while ago, and then I noticed all these TV stars from years ago started doing I'm the guy from Family Matters. Remember me? And then launching a podcast.
Reginald Vell Johnson,
That one.
a great actor who, of course, was also in Die Hard.
Yeah. Carl.
There you
No,
go.
no, Carl's the bad. Is his name Carl too? Carl's like the terrorist guy with a brother.
Oh, Right. What was his name?
I thought it was Carl.
Maybe they're both Carl. I can't remember.
Bob. Was it Bob?
I feel like I got in trouble for this before when we were talking about Die Hard.
The officer in Die Hard.
The guy that eats Twinkies.
Yeah. Carl?
The lovable officer.
No, I guess his name in
It's Sergeant Al Powell.
Al.
Carl is his name, yeah.
Carl is from the other
Carl's
show.
the long blonde-haired guy that resurrects at the end.
I only think that because they have that meme of Carl on duty, black cops.
Oh.
And it's him, you know.
Really? I don't know that meme.
No.
I don't know it either, but he was a black cop in this fictitious movie.
Right.
That is true.
This
Carl on
Christmas
duty,
movie,
see?
yeah.
It's a joke.
Yeah.
So we had some really important stuff to talk to you about.
Yes.
So like we wanted to ask you like who wins in a death match. We have a couple matchups.
So we're going right into it.
Jordan Peterson versus Cenk Uyghur? Uyghur?
Whatever his name is. I mean, Peterson wins. Obviously, he's lanky. He's tall. The reach. Obviously,
he seems frail.
Cenk, the one thing Cenk is sort of an amorphous, fat blob, and I suppose his hand would get caught. You know, one of those when you punch like the real sort of fat blob guy, and then your hand gets stuck in there, and then you know, that whole thing. But I feel like Jordan would be quick enough on his feet to be able to put down the blob.
And he'd use a lot of mind games.
There would be a lot of trickery and shenanigans. Right. Yeah.
He'd get. Is it Cenk?
Cenk.
So it's almost like jank.
Yeah.
That's the kids mean when the kids say jank. That means it's all wacky.
I cannot believe I worked for that guy. You know?
Yeah.
You ever have moments you look back on life and you go, I really can't believe I did that. That's how I feel about that whole experience.
Oh.
Well, let's talk about that for the next 40 minutes.
Oh, God.
But we got to get to this. There's also Ben Shapiro versus 7 Weasels.
Ben Shapiro versus 7 Weasels.
All right, folks.
Yeah, well, the 7 is getting me on this one.
Yeah, he's surrounded. They're circling him.
They're circling him.
He's
Ben
preparing.
is fast. I feel like he could use the yarmulke to maybe take out one, like in some sort of
Captain America shield.
Yeah, like yeah.
But the yarmulke throwing star.
Right. 7 weasels.
Would he bite any of them?
I mean, the weasels have the height advantage.
Yeah, that's 2 hands, 2 feet, and a mouth.
Well, I guess the issue really is could the weasels combine into one super weasel, much like Devastator, the Transformer. You know, the Constructicons alone they weren't that strong, but together they formed Devastator. I'll give it to Shapiro. You know, he's lived through Twitter mobs and other such things. It builds
very similar to weasels.
I think what he does is he grabs 2 weasels, snaps their spines, turns them into weasel chucks, and takes out the rest of the weasels.
It's not the craziest thing I've ever heard.
How about Roseanne Barr versus Stacey Abrams?
Oh, God.
We know who would have claimed they won.
Yeah, right. Roseanne versus Stacey Abrams. Well, I'll tell you this. Roseanne smokes a lot of weed. I don't know that that's relevant in any way, but I have been to Roseanne's house and smoked weed with her, and that woman smokes professional grade weed, not just the swag that the kids are smoking. She's like smoking stuff that really, if you have glaucoma,
like in a silver briefcase,
you can see through things after. I don't know that that's relevant exactly. Roseanne versus Stacey Abrams. Well, Stacey Abrams, she would cheat. She would cheat, and she would claim that you were the cheater, and thus she would win. Okay. She would win the battle, but lose the war. How about that?
Tucker Carlson versus Dan Crenshaw. We have the pensive stare versus the half stare.
The guy with one eye. Yeah. I'll get Crenshaw's been to war.
That's true.
So
he's a Navy SEAL, maybe.
Tucker grew up wearing bow ties, and Crenshaw's been to war. So I'm going to go with the war guy on that one. You know,
Eric Weinstein versus Harvey Weinstein.
Oh Lord. This is just a straight up battle to the death. Well, Harvey isn't Harvey after they caught him? Didn't he suddenly develop? He can't walk anymore.
He looks really
he's
frail.
In a walker or whatever. I'll give Eric credit. You know, he a lot of people gained a lot of weight during COVID. This guy, he was like walking 8,000 steps every 4 minutes or something. He's lost a little weight. I'm going to give it to Eric Weinstein.
Okay. Kirk Cameron versus Sam Harris. You just interviewed Kirk Cameron.
Yes, I really like Kirk Cameron. I got to tell you, I really like Kirk Cameron. People say whatever they want to say about him. I saw a picture of him here somewhere. Is there? There's Kirk Cameron right there.
He's the main character in the Christian cinematic universe.
Look at it. Yeah. I like Kirk a lot. Kirk versus Sam does the MMA stuff. He does. He does a little jujitsu and that kind of thing. Kirk's out there with the fire. He's sitting in his backyard all the time. He's got the big fire and the rocks and the whole thing.
He's got God.
And he's got God on his side. I'll go with God. Yeah. I'll go with
God. Steven Crowder versus Christian music artist Crowder.
Well, Crowder's become huge.
He's pretty bulky.
What is he doing?
Yeah, what is he doing?
Yeah, it's like, what are you making up for, dude?
Yeah.
You just keep.
And how's he have time to work out that much?
Yeah, it makes you wonder. So, I don't know. I guess I'll give it to him.
Okay.
Yeah. Gavin Newsom versus a duck.
I would root for the duck. I would vote. I would vote for the duck. Gavin Newsom is a truly evil man. Like, he is a bad man.
He would cheat.
He is just evil. I would hope that the duck. I would just be I would do everything I could do to ensure that the duck would win. How did you even pull those two things together, Gavin Newsom and duck?
That's why
it just came to my mind.
That was just it was just stroke of genius.
Ducks are always fun
to juxtapose evil leader and duck.
Duck. Yeah. Ducks are always funny.
I like ducks. I got no problem with ducks.
So you are a part of our podcast intro.
I know.
On our interview.
I know.
And I think we just got our next one. Gavin Newsom is a truly evil man. That'll now be in the intro of the interview show.
Well, I would also say that Ryan Johnson is a truly evil man. So there you go. You can put that in there too. There you go.
So many isolated Dave Rubin quotes.
Thomas Sowell versus Lori Lightfoot.
I mean, that woman, like, what's going on there, really? Like, what is really happening with that woman?
I do believe she died
are we allowed to say
has been resurrected?
Something ain't right there. Look, Soul, he's got to be. I think he's 91 right now. Is he 91 or so? That guy, he's just the king. I've interviewed a gajillion people. It's like the only interview that you can actually hear it at the beginning of my voice. I was a little nervous. You can really, for the first minute or two, there was something going on. I was just so in awe by the guy. He would crush her one way. I mean, he could just drop a book on her head. That would be it. Discrimination and disparities. Boom. Like just crack it over her scary head, her shrunken head.
It's pretty creepy.
Kamala Harris versus Candace Owens.
Oh, well, nobody messes with Candace. You're not going to beat Candace. That's the easiest one. You're just not going to beat Candace. Candace, yeah.
Bishop Barron and a Balrog.
I'll say Bishop Barron, we've done many things together. He's been to my place a couple of times. I've done some other events with him. He's always got a crew of people around him that I feel like would very much get in on the fight with him and help him. Yeah, he's got an entourage.
And finally, Dave Rubin versus Paul Rubens.
At a movie theater.
Pee Wee Herman.
Yes, I got it.
I don't know who that is.
At a movie
Pee Wee Herman.
theater.
You know Pee Wee Herman?
I know who Pee Wee Herman is. I didn't know that was Paul Rubens.
At a movie theater. You see what I
At a
did
movie.
there?
Yeah,
you got it. You got it because of.
He's young. I don't know if he knows.
I remember that.
Yes.
I was a very big fan of Paul Rubens when that happened.
Yes.
He was a 7-year-old.
Lost himself at a movie theater. Forgot where he was. Who would win Dave Rubin in a fight versus? Well, he's got so many gadgets, right?
True.
I mean, the guy has tremendous gadgets. He had that incredible Rube Goldberg machine at the beginning of Pee Wee Herman's Big
and he's
Adventure.
got a friend.
He's got the red bike. He's got the fat guy.
He's got Morpheus as a cowboy.
Morpheus as a cowboy.
The guy that was in The Matrix. What's his name? Fishburne.
Lawrence Fishburne. Yeah.
So if you watch old Pee Wee, Lawrence Fishburne's in like a cowboy costume with a lasso
in the show. I think. Yeah. And he's also got the guy that lives in Mecca High.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of tricks. And to be honest with you, I've got a torn ACL in my left knee right now, and I'm having some shoulder stuff. So Paul Rubens probably with all the trickery and the shenanigans.
Wow.
Yeah.
Connect the dots. La 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 la.
Classic Pee Wee.
You didn't watch Pee Wee.
I wasn't allowed to watch Pee Wee, man.
No, it'll corrupt you.
You look back on Pee Wee, I go, wow, how do my parents? It's just it's so weird. That's the main thing.
It's
There's
just
nothing
so
really
bizarre.
bad in it. It's just like
bizarre.
too weird.
Yeah.
But you know, it's funny. If you compare whatever it is that Pee Wee Herman was doing on that Saturday morning show and those movies to whatever the flying God knows is happening on Cartoon Network now and the rest of this, it's like Pee Wee looks like, Pee Wee looks like an ultra conservative at this point,
Yeah, or even if it was like some kind of weird closeted code language that maybe parents thought was going on, but they couldn't, put it together. Like, what is the weird chair with the eyes? But like now it's just straight up.
Yeah.
What just happened?
Yeah.
There was wasn't the Cartoon Network or who's the show that just did some super blatant
Oh, it was Blue's Clues on Nick.
Pride? Oh yeah, Blue's
Yeah.
Clues.
I did the drag queen
Video.
It's just like, what are they doing?
To me, that's like a bad conservative joke. Like that's something we would write.
Yeah.
As a bad conservative joke.
Right.
Like, oh, Blue's Clues hosted by drag queen. Ha! And then all the uncles on Facebook would share it like it's real.
You think they're
But it's
trying
actually
to
real,
beat
so.
you to parody something
I
like
think
that?
so.
Like
they're trying
like,
to take away what we do.
Right, they're like, what is the most insane thing that Babylon Bee could come up with? Like, let's inject it into Blue's Clues. That's the show,
Right.
Blue's Clues.
Yeah.
Gavin Newsom will have fought a duck by tomorrow.
And now we can't use this. This whole thing is shot.
Yeah.
Or gotten his
Donkey.
kicked by a duck.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Wait,
No,
did we
to
decide that
believe me,
we decided he was going to lose to a duck? Oh, 'cause
I'd say
he was going to.
we want him to lose.
We'd want him to
Obviously.
lose. Yeah, just that guy.
Are you voting Caitlyn Jenner then? Is that the?
I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, give me somebody. Resurrect Ronald Reagan. Like, dig his old bones up. They're in Hollywood at that cemetery, I think, over there. It's like,
You've looked into this.
Yeah. Like, can we like
Grave
what's
number 36 QT.
like, yeah, right. Like, what's the purpose of science at this point if we can't
can't do that.
resurrect people who can come save us? Wouldn't that be the great ending to this story? It's
true.
Or
We
combine his
need,
DNA with a frog or something.
yeah, something, a frog, whatever
or
it
a
is.
duck, so they can
Or a
beat
duck,
Gavin
yeah.
Newsom.
Or a duck, whatever. But yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do. I mean, I don't think the Caitlyn thing's real. Like, do you? You think it's real? I don't know. It would be nice, I guess, if it was real at some level. But like, is this what we've been
entertaining.
left with?
Yeah.
But it tells you everything you need to know. Like, if you would have said to somebody 5 years ago, oh, in 5 years from now, you're going to be supporting Bruce Jenner as a woman in a recall of Gavin Newsom in California. It's like,
That's the funniest thing to me.
put down the pipe.
The funniest thing to me is that Caitlyn Jenner announced she's running, and I'm like,
Yeah, that's
makes
the
some sense.
weirdest.
Yeah. It's like, it's the best we got. Okay.
I want to get back to interview questions because I don't know if you ever had this happen, but we've had some interviews which we haven't been able to really talk about. So we can't name names, but we've had a few interviews where when the interview was over, they went, "Do not air that.
Oh, really?
That was horrible. We'll never talk to you again."
And what do you do?
And we're not offensive guys. We're nice.
What do you do?
well, I don't think any of them said they wouldn't talk to us.
No, okay, yeah, I took a little bit far. Well, they probably wouldn't interview again though.
Right.
But the whole interview went well. They said they had a good time. And then usually it was about 10, 20 minutes later, they contacted us and said, run none of it. It wasn't, and we'll tell people if there is something that you felt like went bad, we'll edit it.
Yeah.
We totally are like, hey, we're trying to work with you. Any questions you didn't like, we're not like gotcha people.
They're probably in the wrong business, whoever these people are. Like, really, if you're going to be in the talk business at this point in 2021 and be afraid that you're going to say this or that, like, even if you guys literally were here to set me up, like on your computer machines here, you've got the questions that are going to take me out.
That's coming
It's
up.
like, I would figure out a way. I will figure out a way to win here. And the idea that you'd go on these shows and then at the end be like, oh, don't air that or cut that or whatever. I've only on my show, we've edited for content twice in the thousands of interviews I've done. One was because somebody actually showed up so drunk and stoned that we thought it was going to ruin their career completely, and I made the choice to do it. It was not their choice.
I remember you said this before, and I've always thought if I ever see him again, I'm going to make him whisper to me who it was.
Maybe I'll tell you. Are we recording right now? That was one, and then the only other time we've ever edited for content was about 2 weeks ago. I had David Horowitz on, and he's the original Why I Left the Left guy. 83 years old now, and he believes a certain something about the election of 2020. I don't want to get any of us in any kind of trouble, but as a free man in a free country, he said something on my show that we had to cut. Otherwise, I literally could have had my YouTube channel blown up, and we put it on my locals channel, and good enough. But you're in the wrong game if you're doing that sort of thing.
You never had to take a full interview down or
No.
had somebody say that?
No,
Wow.
no. I don't think I would. You know, Rogan.
Do you make any
Rogan
kind of
took
agreement
40
before you have people come on? Do you make any kind of a...
No, the only thing I say, and I only say it to some guests sometimes, is the people that are not seasoned. Like if I get somebody that's like a professor that maybe like got into a controversy or something,
Right.
that they're not used to being on camera a lot, I'll say that if you accidentally really screw up something, we can talk about it after. Meaning like, you know, if you're just nervous and you you forget to say the word not, or you just completely reverse what you're saying, something like that. We would edit for that. Or occasionally I think we've, you know, like if somebody like has a coughing fit, we've like cut.
Yeah, like crap their pants.
Like crap the pants, we're going to see what we can do. But beyond that, it's live, man. I mean, you know, that's what's nice also about
do you stream?
Wearing these things, and, you know, it feels more like radio. I think people are a little freer. We used to do more live interviews. We don't do as many anymore. That's not because of any editing issue. It's just the way my life has just gotten very busy and schedule-wise, it's, you know. Yeah.
All right, well, I guess that's a unique test. Maybe we just shouldn't.
But anyway,
be so
it's
nice
very
up
important
front.
to me that you guys don't air any of this
Yes.
today.
Okay.
So, you know.
That's true. As a Christian, you know God's always there for you, but sometimes things can feel downright overwhelming, and it can be beneficial to speak with someone who shares your faith and values.
Online counseling from faithfulcounseling.com is there for you. They connect you to professionals, Christian counselors, safe private online environment. Super convenient. You can do it through the app, through video chat, texting, and I think just about any way you can communicate with somebody.
You think of it, they have it.
Smoke signals.
Yeah, not an actual guarantee, but they do have a lot of stuff. And they have licensed counselors who are specialized in depression, stress, anxiety, and crisis of faith issues too, which you don't always get with counselors if they're not, you know, Christians. You don't want no atheist counselor.
There's financial aid available for anybody who qualifies.
Anything you share is confidential, just like with a regular counselor. If you're not happy with your counselor for any reason, you can get a new one. They're available worldwide. You can do text, chat, phone, video. You can start communicating in under 24 hours. It's available on desktop, mobile, Android, iOS.
What?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, BlackBerry? No, maybe not. But if you go to faithfulcounseling.com/BabylonB, listeners will get 10% off their first month.
That's right. So why not get started today? Go to faithfulcounseling.com/BabylonB. Just fill out the questionnaire to help them assess your needs and get matched up with a counselor that you're going to love.
faithfulcounseling.com/BabylonB. Well, and the weird thing for us is that most of the people we interview are in our corner. You know, they're our buddies.
Right.
We usually don't. We're not often able, or we don't get that much interest in people that are on the left.
Right. I can't imagine who, you don't have to tell me.
No.
But like what
Yeah,
situation it
we
would
got
be
stories. We want to talk after.
in. Right. Look, I guess somebody could tell, somebody maybe would name a name or something where they go, maybe I shouldn't have said that or that sort of thing. But, you know, you're mostly bringing in allies here. So it's not like you're really trying to sandbag somebody. But that also, it really comes from their fear of dealing with the mob and that whole thing. And it's like, if you're in this game and you're still afraid of that thing, you got a lot to learn.
But even if we did bring someone from the left in, we would just want to hear what they have to say. So I don't know why. I don't know why it's hard for us to get people from that side to.
If you brought someone from the left in, would you do your versus game
Yes,
that we
absolutely.
just played?
Sure.
Because they get offended over everything.
That's
You know,
probably
ducks are a protected species.
They can say the duck would win.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, they don't want the duck. Yeah, that's a conundrum for a leftist.
Yeah, that's tough.
You know, animals'
You're
rights,
abusing an
but you don't
animal.
want Gavin to look weak.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
It's true.
Man, I would love to ask one now. So on interviewing people, I mean, you've had some people on the left on your show. You've managed it, and we know it's hard.
Yeah.
You know, and I think the general reaction here, people is like, why didn't you pummel him? Why didn't you strangle him and ask all the... They also get that on the right. Like, why didn't Joe Rogan strangle Ben Shapiro while he's on his show? Or
Yeah,
whatever.
we get that too, even when we're talking to people. You know, if they say something that the
we'll
audience
get about Dave Rubin.
generally disagrees with, they'll be like, why didn't you hammer him on that? And we're like, well, that's not what we do.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm here, so if there's something you want to hammer me on,
we're ready.
Let's do it.
That's
I mean, you've
coming
both
up.
got computers
It's
there.
on the computer.
Well, you know, the one difference, though, is that when I have people on the right on my show, obviously my audience leans right now, so people are very happy, and I agree with all that. When I have people on the left, whoever I can get at this point, which is just getting harder and harder because they think we're all Nazis, and I was trying to warn people that was a problem a few years ago. When I get people that are more left on my show, my audience usually, if I quickly scan the YouTube comments, and I obviously try not to spend too much time in there, but my audience usually is like, yeah, I disagree with them on a bunch of stuff, but I'm glad Dave had the conversation. So, for example, Tulsi ran, you know, she's, in essence, I don't want to put words in her mouth, but she's much closer, I would say, to where I am politically than anything relative to the Democratic Party. But the point is, she ran as a Democrat, like she's a liberal in some decent sense of liberal. Nobody in my audience hated her. They were thrilled that I talked to her. They were like, I disagree with her on abortion, and I disagree with her on taxes, and I don't know, this, that, the other thing. But nobody was like, but if you do it the other way, there's just nothing there, because they honestly think we're all Nazis. This is a problem.
Right. I always feel like that's where it makes it really hard off the bat with people on the left, because I feel like when I try to size up why they believe what they believe, I feel like I give them a lot of credit.
You probably give them more credit than they deserve, because they don't know why they believe it. That's the truth. What I've really distilled this all down to after years now of interviewing people and being part of this and being some level of a student of media and all this, they don't know why they believe anything. That's why the facts don't care about your feelings line caught on with Ben, or the soul line that your producer was mentioning before when I said to him, well, what woke you up? What made you not be a Marxist anymore? Facts. We believe in a concrete reality, and we believe that information matters and reality matters, and that the world exists whether you like what's happening in the world or not. There's a reality here where they don't believe that. You can get these people to believe and say almost anything on any given day, which is a really crazy way to live, by the way. I mean, that's like a really sort of bipolar way to live, which is pretty much why they're so hysterical all the time. But again, I would welcome those conversations.
Yeah.
Right. If they're willing to.
Well, and there's a generalizing there, though, right? Because like they, as the left, is like a...
But it pretty much is a monolith at this point. So, of course, I don't mean all lefties, and I just made a distinction. I think Tulsi considers herself a lefty, let's say. I think Eric Weinstein probably considers himself a lefty, some level. Brett, his brother, or Sam Harris. Yeah, like there are some version of, or Barry Weiss, there is some version of a sane lefty. But to me, they're all really conservatives at this point. It doesn't mean that they agree with you guys on every specific thing. Like abortion seems to be a big one that there's like a certain sliver of the pro-choice. They just can't get over being called a conservative for that. To me, it's sort of irrelevant at this point. It's like, if you want the country to continue, then you're a conservative, I would say. So I'm not saying, so when I say they, it's like, of course it's not all of them, but you got to do a little shorthand.
I just had to try to corner you.
Yeah, no, thank you. That was very effective. I feel that I dealt with it well, and I look forward to the next one. Here we go.
Well, it's almost a distinction between like liberals and progressives too, right? Because like,
yeah, but I know, but
I'm over that. I'm not trying to corner you, but I am saying that there is this, it does feel like there's a segment of the left or whatever that we can kind of link arms with, the ones that are actually...
Yeah, you're talking about the remaining
liberal, right?
You're talking about the remaining liberals after Order 66. Right. There's a couple Jedi throughout the galaxy. Most of them have been killed. There's one on Dagobah and the other guy on Tatooine, and one's in the
Marvel.
You're what Marvel references that make more sense?
I don't know.
Something.
He thinks that is a Marvel reference.
Oh, you think?
You can tell me whatever. This could be Lord of the Rings for all I know.
The giant corporate conglomerate that owns both the companies, Marvel and Disney, they would understand what I'm saying. Yeah. But yeah, in essence, if you're one of those good liberals that remains, to me, you're a conservative at this point, because you're either a Democrat and you believe the power of your party is to destroy this freaking thing. They're here to destroy the thing. Like, that's pretty obvious. So either you can keep playing with that so that you can go to nice parties as the world burns, or you could link arms with those scary conservatives at the Babylon Bee and that fast-talking Ben Shapiro and scary people like Thomas Sowell and Dennis Prager, and you'll quickly realize that they want to live in a world that's a lot closer to your world. And that's why I was arguing for months that Trump was saving liberalism and conservatism. It was obvious how he was saving conservatism. He was putting all, conservative judges. He was getting us out of wars. He was lowering taxes, getting rid of regulation. But he was also saving liberalism, because what was very obvious was coming was what we have now with the Democrats. And he was the last one, staving it off. How'd I do? How was that?
That was great.
That was pretty good.
And we want to be clear that Trump lost the 2020 election.
No, yes, absolutely.
Fair and square.
I want to just say Susan Wojcicki is the greatest woman alive, the YouTube CEO, and we're here by the grace of that woman.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you. May she live forever.
Good night.
You stated in the Babylon Bee podcast intro that The Last Jedi is one of the worst movies ever made. And
yes.
Do you care to revise that statement at all?
No, I would strengthen the statement by saying it actually, I think, in essence, ruined all of Star Wars, period.
I had more. I was going on, but
go ahead.
Well, things have happened since
we did that.
Oh.
Cats has come out. Rise of Skywalker has come out. Do you want to revise it all, or is Last Jedi?
Oh, Cats, the movie about the cats. That was the play. I did not.
What were you thinking of? The animal?
Yeah, I don't know. Cats are now everywhere.
Cats have come out.
I did not see Cats, but I assume it's horrible. Well, no, because Last Jedi destroyed Star Wars. It actually destroyed Star Wars to the point that it made all the other movies worse. Because Force Awakens, we'll just do it for a minute. Force Awakens actually was a great reboot, in my opinion. Yes, it was a little derivative of the first one, of course, but they had so much of a lift to do when you factor in the years that were gone after the prequels, the way the people reacted to the prequels, the fact that George Lucas was basically out of it, that you had to bring back the old characters, link it to new characters. Force Awakens did all the right things, I think. Then you bring it in and you basically abort it. They basically just ripped it apart, ripped it to shreds. Even George Lucas now, JJ just said in the last couple of weeks, we had no plan. That there was no plan.
I saw that, yeah.
How do you do a
Sort of like
how do you
Lost.
do a trilogy with no plan?
He said something like, in hindsight, we should have all gotten together and
think?
made a plan for the 3 movies.
You think? Do you think when George did the originals, you think he thought, the middle movie, Empire, we're going to have to really do something here because in the middle is when the whole thing starts taking shape, right? And that's why Empire is usually thought of as the best. But Last Jedi destroyed it to the point that when JJ came back with Rise of Skywalker, and that was that before or after I sat down with you guys last
It
time?
must have been after.
I mean, Rise of Skywalker, it's just crap. Like, you want it to be good. And by the way, a good movie gets better every time you watch it. So to me, if I could do a couple sci-fi movies, the more you watch the movie Contact or Interstellar, you get more each time. You can kind of, oh, wow, I missed this thing here. The more you watch Rise of Skywalker, the worse it gets because Chewie is dead and he's dead. So the emotional moment that you have in the first time you see it.
Killed Chewie?
Well, they didn't kill Chewie.
I didn't watch.
Because
It was a fake out.
Yeah, they faked you out. Wait, did you not? You actually didn't see it?
No.
That's
He doesn't know
incredible.
what you're talking about at all.
I have very little interest in Star Wars, though I did watch The Mandalorian and enjoyed it. So
Yeah, even that though, I was just like grossed out by Star Wars at this point. But the Chewie moment. So you get a moment when you watch it the first time, but then that moment's gone when you see it again. C-3PO, you think he's dead in effect, right? He's going to be brain dead. Then he comes back. Nothing happens with. What's his name? Not Ray. Who's the guy? The other
Finn?
guy. Finn.
Wow,
Finn
I knew
is
that.
useless. Finn is useless. The fact that I can't even remember his name.
Finn
is utterly everything he does in the entire 3 movies has nothing to do with anything important. He goes
doesn't
on.
go anywhere.
He
No,
goes on his silly adventure to the casino. They're all terrible. All right, enough. I can't do it anymore. I can't.
So you're going to stick with it, Last Jedi, one of the worst movies.
Yes, because it demolished a franchise.
The
and
worst movie ever
That's
made?
it's horrific, and but I want to go on the record, as I've been saying for a while. The prequels are getting better and better as time goes on. The story of the accumulation of power and what you do to attain power and start a war, and in many ways, it's exactly what's happening right now. Thank you.
I've seen a lot of videos of coming up with that online. Actually, the prequels are good.
Yes,
Is that
I've been
only
saying it for years.
Is it in comparison to these new ones?
It kind
or
of is.
Is
Yeah.
that what's happening?
Because it's like at least the prequels don't hate Star Wars. That's the.
They love, but they're also telling
Or
you
just trying to use
they're
Star
telling
Wars.
they're telling you a very important story about how to get power and where the desire for power comes from and how you should be wary of political power. I mean, in many ways, they're a really great sort of conservative or libertarian story at some level.
Are you more passionate about the First Amendment or Star Wars?
Well, it's the First Amendment that protects my ability to say these radical things that I say about Star Wars. So.
So from a certain point of view.
From a certain point of view,
Yeah,
exactly.
I guess.
Exactly. What else is next on your computers over here?
So much, I
geez.
don't know where to go now.
It's like recalculating.
Yeah.
Recalculating.
We need an AI that tells us what to ask.
Right, he got that one right. Okay. Ding, ding, ding.
Little flow chart.
Who are some dream interviews so you can get anybody on your show, left or right?
Well, I'd really love to sit down with Bill Maher. I mean, that's the one that I feel like is like missing in my hat, sort of like, because he is he is that old liberal that you're talking about.
Right.
He really does get it when it comes to free speech, when it comes to what's happened to the liberals. But he can't, and I think it's partly that the guy's been doing it for 40 years. He's multi-millionaire. He gave $1 million to Obama, so he sort of fully showed his political cards there. But he can't seem to connect that the Democrats are the ones that are destroying all of these cities. So, he'll have Adam Schiff on and be like, all my friends are leaving and Ben Shapiro left and Joe Rogan left. Everyone's leaving California. Why is that? And it's like, well, wait a minute. You've got Schiff right in front of you who raises taxes, does all of the horrible things that destroy this place. So I think that's like a Hollywood thing. He's so in bed with the Hollywood thing. And yet at the same time, when it comes to the main issues, he does get it. And also the Trump thing kind of broke him, which, if Trump had gone after me personally, like him and Trump had their moment personally. So I grant him a little leash with that. But I just think we could really talk it out, but also really argue about like, what would a true liberal do at this moment where the world is splitting? Do you want to just go down with the ship, which is what I think he's doing with the left? Or do you want to see what happens with these scary conservatives? And it's fairly obvious which one I'm choosing. I think we'd have a great talk about that.
Yeah, I'd do that.
So you have shed your last vestiges of liberalism. Are you conservative? Are you coming out? Would you like to come out to our audience?
Well, you got a drink? You got some whiskey around here? I know you guys got some whiskey around here.
Something back there?
Well, yeah, I would say anyone sane at this point is conservative. You know what I mean? Like, we might have a couple political disagreements. So I would say I'm still begrudgingly pro-choice, 12 weeks. I'm not denying that it's life. I know that's like a big third rail one for most traditional conservatives. But I think in a pluralistic society, I go into this in the book, you have to have some... people are still going to have abortions in essence either way. And I think it'll end up being only rich people will do it safely. Like there's a whole series of issues there. But look, Rudy Giuliani has been pro-choice for 3 decades and also was at one time the leading Republican candidate for president, way back when. And he's obviously a conservative. So for the minor things that I would say that I have differences with sort of like conservative 101, they're just irrelevant. I want to live in the same country as you guys. I think you want to live in the same country as me. We want to defend the principles that have put us here. And that is worth conserving. And the other guys want to burn it down. So it's like, it's just, the choice is just so obvious to me. It's really as simple as that. And by the way, when I wrote the book and I made that argument about abortion, most of my audience, which is probably more conservative than I am in a traditional sense, the amount of fan letters that I got that people were like, Dave, I love the book. I disagreed with you on abortion, but like maybe you'll come to my position in a couple of years. Who knows? Or I can just agree to disagree. Who cares? That's a spirit that I love. And that's obviously has something to do with being conservative.
Yeah. Do you want to live in the same state as us, though?
I feel like you guys should be giving me a score after each answer here, because you look at each other like,
One of
okay,
the
how did you do on that one? Did you do okay on that one?
Well, one of the challenges of being a co-interviewers
Yes,
is we
we
don't
have to
know
go.
if he's going to ask or I'm going to. What you want to follow up?
I do.
Yeah.
I want to ask if you want to live in the same state as us, or if you're going to follow the Daily Wire and go to Nashville.
Well, you know the story about me and Knowles. Knowles came to my house. We get drunk. We're like, yes, we're going to stay and fight, and we'll take down Gavin Newsom, and we'll save California, and thus we'll save the Union. And then he leaves. It's like 3 a.m. We were like wasted. I wake up at 8 a.m. I open up Twitter. Daily Wire moving to Nashville. Michael Knowles moving. Blah, blah. He told me, he claimed he didn't know. I'll take his word for it. Look, everybody's leaving. I mean, Candace left, obviously. Ben left. Rogan left. I have a lot of other sort of Hollywood type friends that have all gotten out. I think let's see what happens with this recall. I mean, I'm in it at least for now, but at some point the rubber meets the road, and it's like, do you want to live in a place that feels very antithetical to your ideas and values and all of those things, on top of the fact that it obviously makes no financial sense to live here. But I'm okay with that. The thing is, you pay the taxes because the weather is so great. That really is the truth. These last 2 weeks in SoCal, it's been perfect every day. That is worth paying money for. But at some point, if everyone leaves and there's more homelessness everywhere and the drugs are everywhere and the crime is everywhere, then it kind of becomes a little bit tougher.
I, for one, appreciate paying taxes to Gavin Newsom so he can pay reparations.
Yeah. God. Guilt.
Flower bed.
Dude, he's guilty over something that is not although he probably has lineage in his family that own slaves, although I wouldn't consider him guilty because of that, because no one's guilty over their parents or ancestors' actions. I mean, they want you to be born with original sin, these people. They're crazy. But if he wants to pay out of his millions, he's got that winery and he's related to Nancy Pelosi and she's worth a couple $100 million, right? Like, he could pay reparations, but no one in my family owned slaves. And even if they did, I would not be guilty of it.
What about people whose ancestors abolished slavery? Any points for that?
Nope.
Yeah.
No. You get nothing. You get nothing, and you're thankful for it.
Dang it. Oh yeah, we're okay. So
Boy, we still have a lot of time. That's
know.
when you looked over there. Oh, Jesus, this thing's
We've already talked
slower
about the
than I-
weather.
gosh, that was rough. I should have looked.
We talked about the weather. We talked about Star Wars.
Star Wars, the weather, moving to Tennessee.
I would go to Florida though. If I was going, I would go to Florida. There's so much going on there.
Is there any plans? Are you
Tech-wise,
sticking-
Miami's blowing up tech-wise. I'm going there next week. I'm going to interview the mayor, and he's just like, he's taking the refugees. This guy, he's unbelievable. He's like Schindler. This guy, he's like, I will save all of you. So they leaving San Francisco, and they're all just going down to Miami, and they're building empires down there. And meanwhile, San Francisco is literally wallowing in its own crapulence, to quote C. Montgomery
Can you say
Burns.
that more isolated, like, so we can get it for the podcast intro?
San Francisco is literally wallowing in its own crapulence.
We got it? All right,
What
we
is
got it.
crapulence?
I have no idea.
I stole that from Monty Burns.
Oh, okay.
Monty Burns.
I'm Googling it.
It's wallowing in its own crapulence, Smithers.
All right. What would it take for you to become pro-life or a Christian? This question was added here. I didn't write that.
Who wrote that?
I think it was Dan.
Dan.
So did you just ask the hardcore question and then back away?
Yeah. It's
totally back to
interesting.
what
I read this.
I wipe my hands of this.
I'm fascinated by your interview style. Two people, they constantly look at each other. You might be typing to each other in the middle of this thing. I don't know what the hell's going on here.
My friend wants to ask you.
Yeah,
We
my
put,
friend.
Dan messaged us before the interview. He was like, just make sure to ask my theology questions. And then there's two of them, and that's one of them.
That was good. Well, on the pro-choice, pro-life one, I mean, I sort of just explained it to you, but I don't think that I'm not denying it's a life. I mean, we're going through surrogacy right now. I know what happens. Trust me, I have a lot of intimate knowledge of what happens when the sperm meets the egg, and then they're freezing this thing, and it's a blastocyst for 3 days, and I know all of those things. So I'm not making some argument that this isn't the beginning of life and all of those things. I just think in an open society, you have to have some flexibility. Also understanding people are going to do it anyway. And by the way, I've had a lot of well-known conservatives who are adamantly pro-life privately tell me that they agree with me. I understand why they don't want to take that position publicly, because what the left does is if you give them an inch, they take a mile. So conservatives often feel like we have to just be like, there's no start here. We're not debating this at all. And I actually understand that position. So I would want abortions to be as safe and really as rare as possible. It's cliche. That's the line, right? Safe and rare. But that's what I would want. And I would want to encourage, let's figure out ways so these girls that get pregnant at 15 that don't want the kid, that they can leave them for adoption and all sorts of other stuff. What was the second part about theology? Will I convert to Christianity?
What would it take? Because that was the question. Like, what would it take?
What would it take to become a Christian?
What's the missing piece, or what deters you
from becoming a Christian?
Sure.
It was your question.
Yeah. It was Dan's question.
It was Dan. Which one's Dan? Who's Dan? Who's Dan?
He's the guy leaning and hiding his head right there.
The guy like this. Dan.
I do know that we have a larger Christian audience, and this is the question Christians always want to hear. They're interested.
Yeah.
Subscribers, yeah.
It's from a subscriber.
Oh, it's from a subscriber?
A subscriber.
Well, first let me...
It's deflected even deeper.
The subscriber's like, no, my mom wanted to know.
Yes, a subscriber. Okay, that sounds like something. I'll answer it as honestly as I can possibly answer it. First off, I'll say, did you guys see that clip from about a month ago when Jordan Peterson was talking about truth related to faith? Did you happen to see that on Tucker Carlson's Fox Nation show?
No, I didn't.
There's a really spectacular piece where Jordan, in essence, I toured with him obviously for a year and a half. So I heard people asked him this all the time: do you believe in God? Are you a Christian? What do you think truth is? Like, what's the leap of faith? All that stuff. And I heard him talk about it a lot, but I think he got it into the best sort of 2-minute version, which he, in essence, said that when he was 25 years old, he started to tell the truth for truth's sake, meaning that no matter, it doesn't mean that if you say the truth that good things are going to happen, but it will automatically be the best of the things that can happen, because the truth in and of itself adds order to the world, right? And he said that if you do that is the ultimate expression of faith. It's an actual leap of faith, saying to somebody, oh, I believe in truth, just for the sake of truth, that actually is a leap of faith, because there's no way you can prove it. There's no verifiable way to prove it. And I thought that was pretty beautiful, actually, because it's a defense of truth, and it's also saying that truth is linked to faith. And it's sort of a very granular thing. It's not very like, oh, let's look up in the sky and find the guy who's looking at us and judging us and all of those things. But I believe in that. I thought it was the best explanation of the way that I've ever heard it. And I thought it was his best explanation of ever saying it. As far as being Jewish or Christian or Catholic or Muslim or anything else, all of us come from a history, right? Like your family comes from a history of belief or non-belief or struggle with belief or whatever that is, as does yours, as does mine. The tradition that my family comes from is, I'm Jewish, so it's obviously a very brutal history in many ways, and it's sort of a miracle that Jews are still here. It's a very odd thing, if you've been Holocausted and pogromed and whatever they do to you in Los Angeles when you're trying to eat sushi a couple of weeks ago in the name of peace in the Middle East or something. But I would say that God, the God that allowed my ancestors to keep going and surviving and all of those things, that is my God. That is my God. It's not, so for me to, it's not a judgment call on which theology is totally correct. I don't even think that's really a way you can phrase it in a certain way. I think there's a difference between sort of a theological belief, a philosophic belief, and then just a series of traditions and all the things that make you and your family a family, and foods and a sense of humor and all of those things. So was it Dan? It was Dan. I'm not converting here, Dan. There's don't throw any water on me, or we're not going out to the river or any of that stuff right now.
When you scroll Facebook and you count on Facebook to give you the content that you want to read, it's like you're going up to Mark Zuckerberg every morning, knocking on his door and saying, "Hey, Mark Zuckerberg, what should I read this morning?" Or you could just support the Babylon Bee. BabylonBee.com/plans. You can subscribe. You get full-length podcasts, ad-free podcasts. You get ad-free web browsing on our site, premium content. At certain levels, you even get access to a little social network that our friends at Not the Bee have created.
Yeah, be part of the community, the in crowd, the bee crowd.
Let the subscriber know, Dan.
But I would say, joking aside, I would say that the key part of that, though, is that I think you do need belief, period. You do. Societies cannot function without belief. We're seeing what a society at the end without belief. You literally, if you say boys have penises and girls have vaginas, that's a controversial statement in a hyper-secular society that we live in now. And it's only the people of faith, regardless of whether they're Christian or Jewish or whatever, that are showing me anything sensible right now. So I can sit down with Shapiro, who's an Orthodox Jew, the way I could sit down with you guys. And it's like, again, we all, you may have different theological views as Shapiro or as me, but we all want to live in the same country, I think. I don't think you want to live in, unless I'm wrong, but please tell me, I don't think you guys want to live in a religious theocracy. Maybe you do.
Dan?
Everyone got real quiet there. Yeah, Dan started scratching his head again. And that's what we want to protect. And that's what, right. By the way, that's exactly what the founders set up, right? Like, there are God-given rights, and it's our job as a government to protect those rights, not force you to believe anything.
Well, I think that's the way. It's interesting to talk about this stuff because there's so many people it's not safe to even talk about it. It's just interesting to just to be like, hey, here's a guy who doesn't have the same faith as us, has a lot of different beliefs.
Yeah.
And,
we should revel in that.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, that really is the truth. And I think the reason people can't do it is because people don't know what they believe. They don't. I mean, this is what Jordan, I think, did so well at the peak of Jordan for those years. And I think he may peak again as he's just coming back now. But he got people to just think about their life seriously. Mm-hmm. That was it. And in some ways that goes to that Thomas Sowell thing about facts. It was like, well, you can either just wake up every morning and just like read the news and feel things about everything all the time, and anything can happen and they can spin you off into any crazy belief. And we're watching that happen. I mean, how many people that are on MSNBC, these people are delusional. I mean, they're actually delusional. Did you see the clip this morning of this woman, Mara Gay, she's a New York Times journalist. She called me a white supremacist in the New York Times a few weeks ago. Well, technically, she said I regularly host white supremacists.
Adjacent.
She also said the name of my show was the Dave Rubin Show. We couldn't even get them to correct that. But she said that she was driving out on Long Island. I'm from Long Island, and she saw a lot of American flags. And it shows the racist nature of America. These racist people who are losing power. And it's like, who lives in reality? Like, I don't know. I grew up in Long Island. It's actually quite an ethnically mixed area because it's proximity to New York City. So you get sort of these second generation people who, struggled. They lived in Brooklyn, Queens, 2 generations ago. Now they're middle class. You get a great mix of people. They're proud of America. Could that possibly be that they might have American flags that have nothing to do with white supremacy? But it's like you live in a delusional world, and it's up to us to be like, well, how do we react in a world that is delusional? I don't know exactly what the answer is to that. I think if you just kind of remain sane, that's pretty good.
Dave will have the answer to that question in our subscriber portion.
And we have more subscriber questions
Or maybe he won't. I don't know.
coming up.
But we got some questions from subscribers we're going to address there in the subscriber portion.
We slip into our smoking jackets
We're going to slip into our smoking jackets
and not smoke.
and not smoke.
So here we go.
Yeah. All right.
How about I smoke with no jacket? You guys will
fine.
wear the jackets.
Totally fine
You're
with
Dave
us.
Rubin. You can do
I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it. How does Dan feel about this show?
Dan, any more questions, Dan, before we...
Dan's freaking out. He's flipping through the Bible. Come on, I can get him on. I can get him on something here.
Coming up next for Babylon Bee subscribers.
What is the story about you and Joe Rogan?
Trying that. What
was your kryptonite and a key epiphany for kids in public schools that are getting indoctrinated?
Well, the simple truth is, and I think something that can really get to kids is
Let's talk Star Wars prequels.
yes.
How was General Grievous able to kill so many Jedi Knights when he did not even have Force powers?
Enjoying this hard-hitting interview? Become a Babylon Bee subscriber to hear the rest of this conversation. Go to babylonbee.com/plans for full-length, ad-free podcasts. Kyle and Ethan would like to thank Seth Dillon for paying the bills, Adam Ford for creating their job, the other writers for tirelessly pitching headlines, the subscribers, and you, the listener. Until next time, this is Dave DeAndrea, the voice of the Babylon Bee.